We will begin in a reclined bound angle pose, as we often do. So just have what you need for that. To keep anything that you need to keep the soles of your feet together, to let your knees fall wide, and support there, support under your spine, your chin above your heart. So your head a little higher than your chest, and then adjust anything you need to make yourself even that much more comfortable at home in the pose. Okay. And let's begin there, and we'll spend maybe the first between 5 and 10 minutes in that pose. Okay. Welcome. Welcome to you. Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining bound angle. I've got the strap here. You could use the belt or you could use the sandbag. So I have it here. I'm just going to throw the sandbag over my feet. Support at the lower back, support at the spine, support at the nape of the neck, or the base of the skull. Then arms rest where they fall. Let's see how quickly we can go right there. We can drop completely into. Settling ourselves, beginning to check in. First couple of minutes here, just checking in, settling into, settling down into. Let's release any sense of labor in the breath, of effort. Which extends even to trying to breathe really deeply, taking big breaths. Those full lung filling, big, deep breaths in and out. Let go of that even. Try not to do anything with the breath. And just watch where it goes. If you're just joining, just make sure that your audio is muted. I heard sounds of entering the Zoom room. Just make sure your audio is switched off. Take time to just welcome yourself and settle in if you're just joining. No hurry. So we're going to be here for another 5 minutes. Returning. There's another minute or two here. Just keep coming back. Take another couple of breaths in the pose. I need to adjust any part of your assembly. We'll move your legs from the strap if you're using the belt. Notice any change in sensation in your hips, creases of the hips, in your legs, knees, and your feet. one last breath here, and then we can come out of the pose, rearrange props, or a supported bridge pose. So we're going to take that support under the sacrum, under the lower spine, between the sacrum and the floor. So that can be bolster as usual. It can be a block, maybe with a soft blanket over it if you want a little bit more just comfort, a little bit more cushion, or just your block. And I'll show you a couple of ways to set your block under the sacrum. And we'll set aside belts and sandbags. First, you can just do it with the sacrum placed across here, across your space. You can do it with one block, wide, flat side of the block between sacrum and the floor. You can take that block here. If you're comfortable with the block being up a little bit higher and holding bridge pose for, as long as we tend to like to hold it. Or another way, of course, is to have, instead of the cushion, a couple of blankets, long blankets, or if you have two blocks, you can lay one long blanket over your two blocks, approximate your bolster that way, okay? But find what works for you, and then we'll just meet with the hips up on that support, feet on the floor, and drop into your elbows. And then from there, lower your upper back, your head, your arms to the floor, right? So we have hips up higher than the heart more or less in line, maybe slightly higher than the head, right? So the lower you go with this, the more less you're going to feel a little bit of that pressure, carotid pressure through the neck, from the heart through the neck into the head. And so you might just be still kind of figuring out, put the finishing touches on what works for you, that's comfortable against your sacrum. And then we'll extend one leg. So we can bring some extension, some space, some breath into the front of each hip, one hip at a time. And the abdomen, you might feel, right, the sort of track sensation from where you feel it probably most intensely in the front of the hip. But you might feel just more subtly a little further up the right side of the deep abdomen. So if you're comfortable where you are, we're going to take another 5 breaths. Each leg, each hip, 5 breaths. As you're ready, just slide that extended leg back in. Feel both hips again, the backs of your hips and your sacrum against your prop, and then just slide out the other heel, side 2. 10 breaths. So pull that extended leg back up so you have both feet on the floor, and then whatever way, the easiest way to come off of your props, slide it out from under you, push it out from beneath you, your spine to the floor, hips to the floor, extend your legs, and just let everything kind of take a minute, right, to soften away from your supports. Okay, and then we can move up from there and just come to rearrange a few blankets for mountain brook. So that typically looks like one long blanket across that will support your mid back, one blanket to support your head, and maybe the bolster or a rolled up blanket underneath your knees. And for this one, for my head today, I think I'm just going to take one blanket and then maybe just let there be like one little fold that will support my neck, like support the curve of my neck. Then we'll go bolster from there. Spent a lot of time in my car this week. And then 3 or 4 hours today, 3 hours maybe today, just sitting at a desk, substituting for a teacher in high school. So being just reminded almost every week since about the 1st of April, driving a lot more, spending a lot more time in my car seat, and then sitting at a desk, kind of babysitting kids who were also just sitting at their desks, for an hour and 20 minutes without moving, like really, literally without moving. So I'm trying to emphasize the importance of just, taking a few minutes to just get up and walk around, go to the bathroom. But man, as much as I promote undoing the effects of sitting, really kind of was bringing it home, having to do so much of it lately. Right, so that's it, right? This is just supporting a mild lift of the rib cage. So the shoulders here can release, your shoulder blades are on the floor. A little bit of support here under my neck and my knees. And this should just be a really comfortable support of all the major natural gaps, right, or spaces where you typically have space between the knees and the floor, between your back of your neck and the floor, low back and the floor. It's just giving a little extra lift here and light pressure against the thoracic spine, just allowing the diaphragm and the rib cage to open a bit and to breathe a little more, have a little more oxygen and a little more space to breathe here. So just come back to a loose tongue, teeth, lips, jaw, face, throat. Make any adjustment you want to make at this point. If your body has shifted or released in any way that has just caused the position of any of your props to make themselves more felt uncomfortable in any way, just adjust anything you want to. Take another couple of minutes here. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Take your time. Take your time. Feet to the thing that's under your knees. Press that out from underneath you. Swing your hips to one side, roll and rest on your side for 3 or 4 breaths here. Oh, good. So if you're feeling a little bit of the residue of that pose, in the back of the rib cage, the mild back bending action, let's take that to just help it release a little more with a supported spinal rotation. It's very gentle, easy here spinal twist. And if you would rather do this on your back, feel free to do it on your back. Okay, but I'm gonna show this here with the bolster under the front of my spine. Legs wherever you want to have legs, wherever your hips rest, spine rotates comfortably up out of your hips. You come and rest the arms, one cheek to your support. And just notice how different the breath feels. Supported this way versus support behind the rib cage. There'll be another 2 or 3 breaths on this first sign. Come slowly up. And then with as little effort as possible. Right into where you're comfortable on sleep 2. And another breath or 2 here. Palms press forward to pick yourself back up. And then we'll go back. Again, with the bolster, you can just leave it more or less like it is, but give yourself a little bit of headroom up there. And we'll take this as just length for the mid back and the hips. So shoulders will be on the floor, head will be on the floor. Getting very sleepy. That spinal twist. Chest opening again, shoulder opening, chest opening. More stimulating here, back bend, a little more stimulating nervous system. But then again, restful, supported, right? So again, just right here, of helping to lift in more rounded part of the mid-back thoracic spine. Feet can rest wherever your feet feel like your hips are resting, thigh bones are resting in the hip joints. You want to, you can belt the thighs or just let the knees rest against one another, your feet a little wider. Take a moment to get settled there. And just feel what the shape of the prop and the shape of the rib cage, because of the prop, what does that do to the feeling of your breath? Just breathe, let the breath come in, find its own comfortable shape. So again, not trying to do anything specific with the breath other than just let it find its way. If that means your breaths are short, shallow, high in the chest, or if you only breathe comfortably by just breathing deep into the belly, letting everything else rest. Just find the most comfortable, effortless shape and pattern for the movement of your breath. Couple more breaths here, 2 more. And then to come up, just ease yourself onto one side, off of your support and onto your side. I want to just reach behind me and roll my bolster out off to the side so I can come back just onto my blanketed mat, onto my back. Have my blanket, my bolster rather, just so it's off and out of my way for the moment. Let's take the knees to your chest. Then keep just your right knee folded. Take your left leg out onto the floor. Long, pull your right knee toward your shoulder and then out a little wider to the side. Opened to the side, down into the hip, and then up and across. Two more, just like that. Returning to your back. Both feet come up to stand. Extend your right leg. Left knee toward left shoulder. Three times. Same movement. External rotation. Up, across and over. And then return your back to both feet on the floor, your arms down alongside. And we'll move again, but just a little briefly cross lateral, our opposite arm and leg, right? So all we're doing is taking the left leg into the air as the right arm just floats up and over your head to the floor, over your head. Then left foot down, right arm back down by your side. Left arm, right leg. Not looking for any specific sensation at all, just movement. One more time each. And both heels. Turn both arms a little bit away from you so your palms turn up. Take a breath or two here. Now let's set up for Shavasana for maybe 5-minute Shavasana. And I'm going to take myself, just real simple, just a bit of extra blanketing cushion for my hips. And then the long spinal support, but really more the spinal lifting a little bit into the cavity, the torso, so that the chest just feels a little more expansive with the breath, and knees over my holster. Okay, so set that up for yourself. Just right back. Yeah. And so let's take this last 5 minutes to rest. Shavasana. I think I want just a little bit of elevation under my head. Notice just these next 2 or 3, maybe 3 breaths. In terms of how rested you might feel, how alert or awake you might feel, how tired you might feel. And then when you're ready to move, just bring yourself in your own good time from your resting pose, resting position, over onto your side. Once again, pause there. And ease your way up from your side. Upright again to just take a moment, take a moment, take a minute to close your practice. Move into the rest of your evening, the rest of your week, a little bit of ease. Feel a little restored, a little renewed, and come back again to practice some more next week. Until then, thanks for your time once again. Namaste. Best to you.